Tesla's second quarter results are going to be known pretty soon, and we don't know if they're going to be profitable or not. But is it really that important? Is being profitable that important to Tesla? And there are two camps here. Let's talk about it because I think it's just about the right time. And also today is Friday, so Tom Moloughney from Inside EVs is going to be here to discuss that with me. That and many other things coming up next. Welcome to E4 Electric, your number one source of unbiased electric car news. Hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit that bell notification icon as well. And of course, thank you to all of my Patreons, including John and Michelle. Thank you so much for joining my Patreon community as a family. I appreciate that. The only place where you can watch me live. And of course, thank you for supporting this independent channel. All right. Today's Friday. Tom's going to be here in just 1 second. We're going to be talking about, what's going to happen with the Q2 results. But most importantly, does it even matter? I know Wall Street is going to move one way or another, and then it'll settle down and all of that stuff. But in a general sense, of where Tesla is going. I mean, obviously, we know examples of Amazon, probably the most famous one that everybody always uses. We also we keep talking about the money they don't have, but there's tons of money that they do have with the new campaign that they raised a couple of $1 billion here, then the money that they raised in China for their factory. So there's tons of money that they do have that somehow everybody forgets. And there's like over $1 billion, I think, coming from Fiat Chrysler. I believe that all of the green credits they're going to be buying from Tesla. So there's tons of cash to go around. But the bigger question is, does it really matter? All right, before I bring Tom in, just want to make sure you guys are aware that this video and this channel is sponsored by Byton. Check out the all-electric SUV called M-Byte coming to the US and Europe next year. Look how fast it is to reserve one. Starting at only $45,000 before the incentives, though it is $0 to reserve yours. And about, I don't know, took me a minute to do it. So if you haven't already, go to the description of this video and reserve your Byton today. All right, without further ado, I'm going to bring Tom in and we're going to have this conversation. Tom, how are you today?
Hey, Alex, good afternoon.
All right, well, so I know we just had a shareholder meeting. It was pretty plain, I would say, just compared to many others that we've seen in the past, which is good, I would say. There are a few different news that came out of it. To me, the most exciting one was that he actually called the Audi e-tron a turd in French. A lot of people found it funny. I kind of found it funny, but there were a lot of substance. Now, okay, listen, whether or not they're going to turn a profit in Q2, I think we kind of know. If it's going to be a profit, it's going to be small. If it's going to be a loss, it's probably also going to be relatively small compared to the last quarter. But tell me this. Do you think it's really that important right now for Tesla to be profitable as they're still, growing? There's like 4 models that they are still announced and they still haven't produced, so they're working on that. There's a factory in China. Is it really that important for them to be profitable?
So let me just rewind really quickly to where you talked about Elon calling the e-tron a turd. I'm not sure if all of your subscribers and followers know that basically the reason he did that was because e-tron in French is translated to turd. So it wasn't that Elon just pulled this out of the sky and said, "Oh God, that car is a turd."
I felt like that was an excuse for him to call it a turd because they were showing the chart of the efficiency of the battery, and e-tron was the last. So I have a whole new different video about it, but I'm just saying, when that is a highlight of the shareholder meeting, really, as far as controversy, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, Elon, for all his strengths, is definitely prone to stumble every now and then and make some kind of mistake or something that he probably wishes he didn't say. But as far as the profitability, I'm a little bit more concerned about it, I think, than you. I know Tesla's doing so much right now. And, they have these new cars in development, the Y, the pickup truck. They're building gigafactories all over the world. And, the supercharger network is such a huge investment. And now they're even going to be spending more money on that because they're going to be upgrading, I think, a lot of their existing stations and installing new ones to the new V3. So that's even going to be more of a cash drain. Uh, all that put aside, you know, at some point they have to start posting consistent profits. You know, it's we were hoping that they were on that path in 2018 when the Model 3 was going to be getting into full swing, full production. That was going to be the vehicle that kind of pushed them over the top and gave them consistent profitability. And we saw a little of that in third quarter and fourth quarter of 2018. They were profitable. First time in the company history that they put two profitable quarters together. And then we had first quarter of 19 where they lost quite a bit of money. And now in my opinion, I think that Elon was kind of prepping us for a disappointing second quarter. I think that they would have given us some kind of hints at the shareholder meeting that things look really good in the second quarter. Without outright coming out and saying that where they're at, which they probably can't do. But it's just, to me, as much as I love everything that Tesla's doing, and I just bought a Model 3, and I know they're doing so many things. I wonder, are they doing too much? Is Tesla taking on too much at once, and could that ultimately be their undoing?
So I'm wondering why do you think he was prepping us for a loss? Because I mean, I thought the leaked emails that he sent to his employees kind of were very encouraging in terms of not only he was essentially saying they were going to set a record or very close to it in deliveries, which essentially what made the Q4 so profitable for them. And they consistently leaking information that things are going very well. So what makes you think that he is prepping us for a loss?
I don't know if it's any one specific thing. Just watching the whole shareholders meeting, I just kind of got that impression, and it could be wrong. I think at this point, nobody really knows where the numbers are going to fall. And just because they had record deliveries doesn't mean that they didn't have record expenses. So, this is, you and us just throwing an idea back and forth. My impression is that it seemed like that they were getting us ready for disappointing Q2 results. I hope that's not the case. I really hope that they can start stringing together some profitable quarters. I think it's important for the company to show that, now that they have their mass market, high volume car, that they're delivering not just in North America, that now the deliveries are starting, around the world, that push them over the top, and they can be profitable.
So, but what about this Amazon argument where, Amazon was losing massive amounts of money in the first decade for sure, but they were building the empire, and once they put turn the switch on, boom, all of a sudden, I think they're like literally the most profitable or one of the biggest companies in the world right now. And I feel like, Tesla is not done yet building the empire because, just like I said, semi-truck, roadster, Model Y, and a pickup truck are, this is something that they still hasn't rolled out. In a pickup truck and a Model Y probably will outsell even the Model 3 that has been proven to be a success. They're building a Chinese factory, which I don't think people realize how important it is because China is the biggest electric car market, and Tesla is suffering there because of the tariffs. They're having a hard time competing there. That will solve that problem. Model 3 just started finally selling in Europe in larger numbers, and they're still, finally this year their self-driving technology is finally accelerating. Before that, it was kind of still just trying to catch up to their first version. And then on top of that, they are, they still haven't even scaled their Solar City acquisition in terms of, making that's an energy company that they're hiding somewhere in Buffalo over there. If that gets scaled with solar roof and the battery packs and so forth, like this is empire in the making. Do we really need them to be profitable like right now? They have plenty of money, still a few $billion for sure.
Okay, so if not right now, when? That's the question. Yeah, they've got amazing things going on, and the whole Tesla Energy, solar roofs, the solar city. A lot of people think that taking on solar city was a bad transaction for them, that they shouldn't have done that. In the long run, it seems like it's a good play. But was that just a case of them biting off more than they can chew? They had to totally revamp their business plan for Solar City. They laid off almost all of their salespeople. They ended the partnership, I think, with Home Depot that was selling them. They've really scaled back. They haven't hired the amount of people at the factory up in Buffalo that they had promised the state they would. So that's I'm sure that's a segment of the business that's a cash drain right now. And how big of a cash drain is it? Is it too much of a cash drain? One of the things I'd love to see, to be honest with you, is the supercharger network, which I absolutely love. I was able to supercharge for the first time last week with my new Model 3. Really cool experience.
Congratulations. Welcome to the club. I guess
Tesla,
that I'm not a
absolutely.
part of anymore, but
Yeah, I mean the whole charging experience, nobody does it better than Tesla. At this point, it's not even close. So what they've created is amazing. I just wonder, how much of a drain that is on the company right now, because I know how expensive these stations are and how much it costs to open a site and maintain a site. And I know that to a certain extent, there's a cost built into every car they sell. But I would just honestly love if Tesla would break out in their financials what the supercharger network costs them to maintain and operate, just to see where that is. Because I know, I've talked a lot with the Electrify America folks, and I know how much it costs to install these stations and manage them. It's amazing. And with the demand charges, people don't realize how much the electricity ends up costing every time they charge a car. In some areas, it's costing Tesla 40 or 50 bucks to charge one car, depending on where they are and what the demand charges are. And meanwhile, they're either giving it away for free on Model S's that have the unlimited supercharging, or charging local just plain electricity rates, which they might get 10 bucks for a charge, and it's costing Tesla 40 or $50 to charge the car. So that's something I'd love to see broken out. I'm not saying get rid of it. It's one of their biggest assets, but at the same time, it's also probably a big financial liability.
look at you turning into a big Tesla fan all of a sudden. I actually think that Electrify America is almost there, as far as, if not even better right now than Tesla supercharging network, because of speed and because there's nobody's there, right now. But okay, we'll save it for another day when we're talking about your full Model 3 experience. Again, we keep pushing it, but we'll get to it. But okay, so I mean,
Well,
okay,
let
so
me interrupt you right there.
yeah.
I have to just cut in. Love Electrify America. Love the guys there. I actually know a lot of the people at Electrify America. I've been working with them for years in different parts of the industry. Electrify America is not where Tesla is right now with the supercharger network. I won't even debate that with you. You are wrong, my friend. It may get to that point at one point, but it is not. The user experience, the locations, where they're located, the amount of stations at each location, the charging experience, they may catch up with Tesla. They may get on par, but I will not allow you in this video to say that it's a better charging experience than what Tesla has right now.
I cannot believe I'm being shut down on my own channel. Well, I mean, actually, I think it is debatable, but I would agree with you that they are catching up, if anything, and it's looking good. Yes. But you gotta admit one thing: it's because there are almost no cars that are charging with CCS plug. The good thing about Electrify America locations is that there's never a wait.
So here in New Jersey, there's never a wait at a Tesla supercharger station either. I've been checking from my app, all the surrounding stations, and it always says like 3 out of 8 are available, or 6 out of 10 are available. I've never seen one yet where they were all full. Now I know that's different in California, and I know that the charging experience might be different. But Electrify America is still working through a lot of their initial problems with with credit card readers aren't working. I was testing the Nero EV out. I drove 120 miles to a charging station. I couldn't get it to initialize. I had to call up. They had to walk me through a process. I had to move my car to a different station, and then we got it to work. With the superchargers, Alex, you know it as well as I do. You back into it, you plug the damn thing in, and that's it. You're
That
all
is
set.
true. That is true.
You
Okay,
know,
well, maybe a conversation for another day. But let's get back to the Tesla and being profitable because well, you asked me when should they be profitable? Like I think they, you know, yes. Let me just mention this: $700 million in 1 quarter loss, unacceptable. All right, and I think Elon said it was the Panasonic that wasn't making enough batteries for them to make enough Model 3s. BS.
which they refuted, I believe.
Well, I think common sense refutes that as well. But because they made quite a few of them before, all of a sudden there's a shortage, and then again, it's not like they said announced it ahead of time. They kind of said it, once everyone's like, dude, what happened with the sales? But so 700 million not acceptable as a loss. But I say if they operate close to being profitable, maybe 100 200 million dollar loss, like if they control their expenses, and I don't mean by firing service employees like they've done this week, but controlling many other costs, I think it's okay for them to go for seriously till the end of the next year. Now, by then they should really start
Sure,
turning
it's not
around.
your money.
Well, I know, but I mean, they have
It's
that
only
money.
200 million.
I think it's an acceptable quarterly loss for a company that's growing so fast and have such big plans. Now, one thing I gotta say is that they need to scale their energy business because I was one of the few people who thought it was a genius idea to buy Solar City. Maybe their intentions were different, but I thought overall becoming an energy company when you already have a client base, was genius. And I love the Solar Roof. I just did a video about it. I believe Solar Roof is the best Tesla product if you looked at the green energy, just moving the green energy movement forward. That needs to start happening. I don't know what the hell's going on in their Buffalo factory, but there is a report that I keep mentioning is that Panasonic is selling more solar cells and solar components to Tesla competitors out of Tesla's factory, which is insane. That needs to change, and I think that's where the profits are going to come from very soon, or whenever they're ready.
Well, I know, didn't they mention at the shareholders meeting that they're working on the third version of the solar shingles?
Yeah, but
Uh,
that first of all, that's a little ridiculous, right? They've installed like 7 of them all together. Now there's a third version, right? And they
that
keep
tells you
saying
something about the earlier versions, Alex. They needed refinement.
fine, but okay, I'm okay with that. I'm just saying it's a little funny. But what I'm saying is that they need to start selling it. It's a great product, and they keep promising it. They've unveiled it in 2016, and if my math is correct, that's 3 years ago. It's time to ramp things up and start selling them. Same thing with
If
Powerwall.
it's ready, I don't know if it's ready. They're talking about revisions, making, maybe that's really what's held them back. Maybe there's issues with it that we haven't really been exposed to that we don't know.
Well,
It's got
yeah,
to be a reason why they haven't sold any of them, Alex.
well, that's true, but their solar panels are ready, and then they're not selling them either. you
Yeah.
know, so that's what I'm saying is
Good
right. Like
point.
I'm just trying to look at the bigger picture. They're just not in that business. And you're right. They cut. They fire their salespeople.
Yeah.
They I think they already broke the contract with Home Depot, which is like
Mhm.
a perfect place to be. I thought that was great that they had a contract there. And I seriously don't know what they're doing, but whenever they're ready to get their crap together, I think they can make a lot of money. So, and I think that's what's going to bring them to profits. And I think burning through whatever, I think $3 billion that they have now in the bank with the money that they raised, I think for overall, like long-term investors would be okay with that. I feel that way because hey, let them build that empire. I mean, the demand is there. One thing I do believe him is the demand is there. Though.
Well, we know the demand is there for the Model 3. Is the demand still there for the S and the X? if you look at the sales numbers, at least the U.S. numbers that we're reporting on Inside EVs, the Model S is down through the first 5 months of the year. Last year they sold, I think it was a little over 8,000 Model S, and this year it's a little over 5,000. So that's a significant drop. There's obviously some cannibalism going on with the Model 3 is taking some of the Model S sales, probably more so than the Model X. Maybe the Model Y is going to cannibalize Model X sales, but I don't doubt that there's no demand problem for the 3. I think you can make a case that there's a demand problem for the S right now. Maybe not the X. X sales have been okay, but you look at the U.S. sales, and Tesla was always at the top. The S and the X were always, for the last number of years since they've been out, 1 or 2 or 3 in U.S. Sales. This year, the S and the X are down to like, I think 5th and 8th, somewhere around there, or 5th and 7th.
You know who's catching up to Model S last month, based on the Inside EVs report? You know which cars catching up to the Model S sales was the e-tron. Ironically enough, and
they had a decent month. I think it was almost 900 units,
yeah,
which is pretty good. And
yeah.
Especially it's good because Audi isn't really stocking them. Those were just, I guess, initial orders. So let's see what happens when the car's out a couple of months and all the initial reservations and orders are filled. It'll be interesting to see where the e-tron falls, because Audi's, it's not going to be a regularly stocked item. You're not going to roll into an Audi dealership and have 4 or 5 e-trons there sitting there. At most, the dealership will have 1 for you to test drive. So that's going to hurt sales. People like to touch and feel and drive and say, okay, I'll take that one there and let me drive off the lot with it. And that's been a case for a lot of the car dealerships in the U.S. with a lot of the brands that sell EVs. They don't stock enough of them. They don't have them positioned properly on the lots in prominent locations. That's all part of the dealership training that I do for Plug-in America when I go to a dealership to do electric vehicle training. One of the things we really focus on is getting the dealership ready to sell the cars. Besides training the salespeople, getting the dealership just set up to have enough inventory to have them placed in prominent locations and so forth and so on.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was surprised by the e-tron sales, because I was just comparing to the I-Pace sales that have never peaked, even in the beginning where demand was huge. They kind of stayed around 200, and we're talking about U.S. sales, right? Just so everybody knows, we're not talking global. So I no, we were talking about Model S. Obviously, they just did an internal refresh, and a lot of people bought it, especially with a $20,000 sort of free upgrade to the ludicrous mode, which only kind of proves that sales do work. Putting stuff on sale, especially if it's just software, in many cases. But now everybody knows there's another refresh coming, and I don't think people are as excited about that one, because it's an interior refresh that just is going to make Model S look like Model 3. But I'm curious to see what their Model S sales are going to be in June, because that will definitely give us a good guidance on what's going to be happening with that car.
I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a great guidance. June sales should be strong, because it's the last month that you can get at least 50% of the federal tax credit. So I suspect that June sales will be strong. I'll be really curious to see what July and August sales for Model S are. I think that's going to be a little bit more telling. It's one of the reasons why I really pulled the trigger on the 3 now, with not waiting until my I3 lease was up, because, hey, at the in 2 weeks I lose $1,875 of the federal tax credit, and you don't want to leave any money on the table, even if you're buying a $90,000 or $80,000 Model S. You still want that extra $1,875. So I think that you're going to see pretty robust June sales, and let's really take a hard look at July and August, and I think that's going to tell us where Model S sales are.
I agree with you on the Model 3. I do think that the difference now between the phase out stages are so tiny compared to the overall Model S price that I don't think really there will be Model S, too many at least Model S new owners saying like, oh, thank God I got this extra $1,800 off of my hundred
It's
thousand
almost
dollar.
2 grand,
No, that's true. 2 grand is 2 grand.
even people that are wealthy enough to afford $100,000 car, most of the time they didn't get that wealthy by throwing money away. So I wouldn't discount the importance of an extra 1875, even on for people selling buying a $80,000 car, Alex.
That is true. That is true. So we'll find out pretty soon if there's a profit there at Q2. I'm still gonna go with. I don't think it matters. I think as long as within this 200 million up or down, plus or minus, I think that's gonna be, it's gonna be still
Pennies,
much better. Yeah,
pennies,
yeah,
200
pennies.
million.
But before we go, tell us a little bit of your experience so far. You had a full week with your Model 3. You're already becoming a Tesla fanboy. I see already overruling me about the charging. What's your experience? Give me the one thing that you absolutely love about the car, and give me one thing that you think could be improved.
Okay, well, first, let me say, talking about Tesla fanboyism, I've always rooted for Tesla, but I haven't been kind of blinded by Elon's golden glow. I've always tried when I write articles to be fair and to talk about the things I love, talk about the things I don't love. And it seems like in many cases, for some of the Tesla followers, if you criticize any part of Tesla, you get just lambasted. And, there's been instances where I've written articles that weren't just rosy, that I've gotten hit hard, but I'll come out with another article that talks about how I love Tesla. Listen, I wrote an article for BMW blog. That's a total BMW fanboy site that just basically said, BMW, you are screwed. This Tesla Model S kicks ass. And I was the only one to put out an article like that. I went into the lion's den and basically told BMW, this was years ago when that Model S first came out, and said, look, this is it, and you better be afraid. So, I haven't been an anti-Tesla person. Just wanted to put that to the side. So, some of the things I like about the car, I've been driving electric cars for 10 years now, Alex. Actually, June 13th will be my 10-year anniversary of driving fully electric cars.
Happy anniversary.
Thanks,
I don't
man.
know what to get you, but
2009, June 13th, I took possession of a Mini E, which was the all-electric Mini Cooper. I was in a BMW test program, so it's been 10 years now. So I don't have that same oh my God, this is the best car I've ever driven, like a lot of people get when they get their first Tesla, because they don't have as much experience driving electric cars. I know how great electric cars are. All the electric cars I've driven have been great cars. I sold my Porsche Boxster S when I got the Mini E. So, because I like the driving experience better. So, I've already been sold on the electric drive. But one of the things I think that really jumped out at me so far is the user interface. It's really awesome. It's better than my i3, the iDrive, and I even have the latest version of iDrive. It's clunky compared to Tesla. I mean, I want to hear a song, and I just press the button and say play Radar Love, or whatever song I want, and boom, just pops up. So easy. Even the voice recognition, it's so much. It picks up exactly what I'm saying better than my i3 does. The navigation, you just say navigate to, and you can even just look up businesses, and it's so much easier and more intuitive than it is on the BMW iDrive system. So I think that is probably my biggest. I wouldn't say surprise, but what I'm enjoying most about the car so far. The supercharging was fantastic. That's the best charging experience I've had in public. But again, I don't think I'm going to use superchargers that much. I charge here at home. It's got a 300-mile range. I'm going to use superchargers for fun more than out of necessity. So even when I drive up to my in-laws in Vermont, they live 220 miles away. I don't need to use a supercharger. I've installed a charging station in their garage, so I'll drive up there and plug in. and then drive home. But I think the user interface is what I probably am most impressed with so far. I really like that. I haven't found anything that I'm really gonna say. This is what I dislike the most about the car. Um, uh, I guess um, it's still I'm still getting used to the fact that if I walk out to the garage without my cell phone, I can't like unplug the charger, and I can't get in the car. But that's just something I have to get used to. I can't knock the car for that.
What do you think about not having the screen, behind your steering wheel?
Well, yeah, that really doesn't bother me at all. It bothered my wife a little bit. She told me when she was driving it for the first time at night, she had like a quick panic attack for a second because she thought the lights weren't turned on because the front of her was
Yeah,
pitch black,
yeah,
so she thought she hadn't turned the lights on. So for like a split second, she was like, huh, and then she was like, "Oh yeah, no, this is normal."
yeah.
But yeah,
All right.
no, that's totally. I'm totally cool with that.
All right. Well, we're gonna do a full review. Well, hopefully next week. We'll see. We will get to it. It's not going anywhere. And the longer you drive, the more insights you're gonna have. And this is why, like, remember we talked about. I said, listen, everyone's done the Model 3 review, but I know you will, even after all this time, you will still find something that I haven't thought about or my audience haven't thought about it. So I'm gonna give you more time to come up with all of those awesome insights.
I have something I want to ask your audience. Maybe they'll write in the comments and can explain to me. So I got 5,000 free supercharging miles with a referral code, and I used the supercharger once, and I charged. I specifically um, unplugged when it added 100 miles to the car. I'm not sure exactly how many kilowatt hours that was, but I'm assuming it was somewhere around 20 to 25 kilowatt hours. So on my app, it has that little treasure chest where it tells you how many kilowatt hours you have available, and it had 5,000 before I did that. And after that one charging session, it dropped down to like 4,650. So it, according to it, I used 350 kilowatt hours of my 5,000, but I only used about 25 kilowatt hours. So I'm going to ask the audience here: is that normal? Does that get adjusted, or have other people seen that kind of issue? I'm not. If that's the case, I'm not going to get 5,000 free supercharger miles. I'll probably end up getting about 1,000.
Yeah, I don't know. This is actually the first time I hear about it. Maybe posted in one of my Facebook groups. I'm actually kind of curious to know if that's a problem because if it is a problem, would be for all Model 3, Model S, and Model X.
Yeah,
All right, we'll see if we'll find out in a comment section right after everybody calls us Tesla fanboys and Tesla haters at the same time. So, all right, well, listen, we'll see what happens with profitability for this company. Looking forward to hearing about your Model 3 next week. And then as usual, thanks for sharing and tell everybody where they can find you.
all right, so you can follow me on Twitter at Tom Moloughney. And since we're bringing that up, Alex, if you remember last week we talked about Toyota, and I posted on my Twitter feed about my apprehensions of whether or not Toyota was serious, and I ended up getting the post got a lot of action. I had Toyota representatives even commenting, and I even got into a little bit of a back and forth with like Toyota's European public relations manager, and he was telling me I'm wrong and kind of mocking me, and we got into a little mini Twitter war there. So that was pretty funny. But I'm at Tom Moloughney if anybody wants to follow me.
If anybody wants to cause more drama, man, you're causing more drama on Twitter than I am, and I think I've caused enough. All right, fair enough. All right, listen, I'm sure we'll talk about the Q2 at some point once we know the numbers and especially delivery numbers and in the dollar amounts, and then we'll update our opinions then. So thanks so much for hanging out with me. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week, my friend.
Very good, Alex. Talk to you then.
All right, guys. I love having a conversation back and forth with Tom. So and this is why I love having him here. It's just a different opinion, and a lot of times he turns out to be right. And it's great to see his sort of evolving opinion now that he's driving the Model 3. He's been a big fan of BMW i3. Just seeing the contrast, not just between the cars, but as you can see the experiences with the charging networks and stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to his full review of the Model 3. I'm telling you, it's going to be like no other. He always finds something that people haven't, even though people have been doing reviews of Model 3 for over 2 years now. So definitely tune in for that. Of course, don't forget to get on our VIP list. It's free, and we're just about to send out yet another bonus story to you guys tomorrow. So go to e4electric.com/VIP. All right, looking forward to your comments. Other than that, see you next time, and remember to stay charged.